Welcome back to day one of week 8. My name is McCormiel. With me is Cash. We've got one final match here on the Bravo stream. Games are still going on up on the Alpha stream as well, but our priority here is going to be Texas State going up against the CSUN Matadors, the number 11th ranked Texas State. Cash, if I was a betting man, I would probably take Texas State in a 3-0 or a 3-1 in this series, but for continuity purposes and, of course, for just this series in general, I genuinely think that CSUN kind of have a chance. Is that weird to say?
No, I mean, we're in just, again, these tiers and how they're split up among skill level. Anyone can show up on any given night. So, yeah, if you were a betting man, I'd say the odds are in your favor for Texas State to take it. But, again, looking at CSUN and looking at any of these matchups, I know it might sound repetitive as time goes on, but you can't count any of these teams out. Anyone can show up to play on a given night. And if CSUN want to look to take it from Texas State, they have that ability tonight.
Absolutely. But overall, I think the most important thing to do here now is take a look at the head-to-head. Overall, Texas State comes into this matchup with an 11-2 record. Overall, 11-2 inside of their hardpoint, as well as 14-4. What am I saying? 11-2 overall record-wise, 14-4 in hardpoint, 10-2 in S&D, and then 6-1 in control. I had my notes shifted up one, so I was looking to it, and I just completely realized that I read everything wrong. But at the same time, I mean, it sounded kind of good. So either way, 11-2 on the season. Cash. It's been a rough night.
Buddy. It's going to be a good one, man. We've got a lot to look forward to. But just looking at this one, of course, what jumps out is how far ahead it looks like Texas State is on paper. You look at them having double-digit wins in Search and Destroy to CSUN 7-5. And the control is where things kind of balance out a bit more. And if you're CSUN and you want to take that, I mean, to me, that's a mandatory mode, period. It doesn't matter how the first two go. You have to take that round number 3, or that mode number 3. And yeah, you've got to try to find a way. Looking at the hardpoint in S&D, you could really coin toss on which one they could take. Of course, setting at 8 losses in hardpoint is definitely not where you want to be. But again, if you can find a way to get at least 2 of the 3 first maps, you'll be setting yourself up well going on in the series.
Well, we talked how good Texas State has been over the course of the season. Let's meet the roster overall. Tactic, Scripps, Draco, and Pandemic. 4 players who have not only made a statement throughout the entirety of the season of the CCL, but more importantly, are looking to make a run deep into the playoffs. And when I say deep into the playoffs, I don't mean, top 32, top 16. I mean, like, they're going to try and compete at least for maybe top 8. And I think that they have a very good ability to do so. This roster is scary when they're all firing on the right cylinders. I think that's what we're going to be able to see as the season continues to push forward, because with how good they are now, all they can do from here is improve.
Definitely. What the ceiling is high as theirs, like you said, the trajectory is only going upward. And anytime I've gotten a chance to watch any of these top-ranked teams in the power rankings play, it hasn't disappointed. And so Texas State sitting at number 11, that's going to be one. This is just what I'm so excited to see. And again, these 4 players, you're at the point in the season, though there's still a lot of COD left. It's not going to be one-off player efforts that win you series. It's going to be that collective, balanced effort from the team. So all 4 of these guys are going to show up tonight, look to play well and play hard, and again, make that statement to crack into top 10.
Well, the roster consists for CSUN of Russ, Ruben, Stuka, and Polo. A little bit of the CSUN roster. Inside of their division, they had a few rivals that they faced up against. The biggest notable, I guess, change was when they beat one of the teams that was inside of the top 3 at the time, which then allowed them to catapult themselves into a position where they put themselves in a top 3 spot, and then were able to make their top cut / top tier 1 type thing, whatever you want to call it or classify it as. That's how CSUN was able to get into the into their top cut to face up against teams like Texas State. So sure, with a 9-4 record overall, you don't necessarily assume that the CSUN Matadors are going to be able to take this series, but moving forward, you're just trying to play for one of the 8 qualification spots inside of your top cut. And if you can get that and avoid the LCQ overall, you're golden, you're looking great, and you're setting yourselves up for success already. Making the playoffs in the CCL is already something that you can say that's a W for your season, but making it further than the top 64, making it past T48 and T32, that's where the money hits. And if you're CSUN, that's where your goal is. You're not aiming to win the CCL. Like, as much as I want to say it's a realistic goal for every team, we have the top teams. There's a very clear difference from even first through third all the way down to the rest of the top 10. that goes a long way all the way down the leaderboard. So for the CSUN Matadors, you're really looking to more or less just make a relatively deep playoff push.
Definitely, and as we pivot over to look at what maps and things we're going to be going over tonight, it's going to be back-to-back Berlin for our first 2 modes and Hardpoint and Search and Destroy. We're going to go over to a guaranteed Tuscan control for game number 3, and then if we need to go the distance, it'll be Bacage and Tuscan to close things out. And seeing back-to-back Berlin to start, definitely interesting.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is when you start on a Berlin hardpoint, you know, a lot of the times, especially from the CCL standpoint, we love to gauge a Bacage, you know, a close range hardpoint to start things out at the very beginning of a series, simply due to the fact that we can see, okay, who's getting out hot right out of the gates, who's going to be able to find themselves with a high slaying game. What team will put themselves in the best position to thrive in chaos if that comes down to things later on instead of the series? However, starting with a Berlin kind of does that same thing, but almost the opposite. It's who's going to be able to get out and rotate early. Who's going to be able to find themselves a really good setup on a specific hardpoint, and what team's going to be able to break in towards a money hill. Overall, I'm just excited not only to see this series, but to see what CSUN can bring to the table against a very, very difficult Texas State roster. You know Texas State's going to be able to win this series 9 times out of 10. Be that 1 in 10 chance for CSUN to take this series, cause the upset, and put yourselves up above everything else.
Yeah, and I've been saying it all night casting between these matchups, but it stood true in all of these series. CSUN, they're presented with a unique opportunity. You're playing a team that's ranked 11 in the power rankings. You get a chance to play up to your competition. Don't shy away from the moment. So often you see the lower seeded or lower ranked team shy away from the competition. I'm ready to see someone rise up and step up to the plate, take the challenge head on and say, you know what, yeah, we're going to play up to Texas State's ability. We've already knocked off top teams before. Let's try to do it again, and getting this early time here on P1, that's a good way to start.
Couple of good kills for the CSUN Matadors right out the rip. Ruben and Dylan will pair for another 2. Scripts will fly on in and around the corner, but it's still going to be the CSUN Matadors who hold on strong. So the first 25 seconds going to go their way. About 20 seconds left before we'll start talking about rotation. But as Pandemic is on the staircase, everybody else from Texas State have clearly rotated towards that south, or rather the right side hand of the map. If you look to player number 7, though, Ruben might be able to make a break flank around the back, try to set up for some spawns.
In the scrap time, though not clean, gonna go the way of CSUN here. And yeah, like you said, player 7 and Ruben in a wonderful position here to maybe cut these players off as they rotate around back, but I think they know he's here. They're gonna sniff it out and get the kills. So first 5 seconds went by without anyone on it, but quickly it's going to be Texas State flying in, trying to get there. As I say, that 2 go down in the feed, and at CSUN, though they lost rotation, they get the control, they get the spawns, and now they're growing this lead out to well over 40 points.
Draco on the staircase, going to be able to win a one-on-one against Stuka. 49-3, the score as we stand. Starting to run it up, and finally on in is Texas State. But as I say that, a clean 4 down, 2 for Polo, 2 for Dylan. They cleared out themselves. It was a 2 versus 4 on the point, and they make it look like easy, quick work. Matadors looking for the rotation now. First player pushed up the map was Polo. Unfortunately, we'll lose the gunfight in the one-on-one. Texas State on that left portion of the map, setting up for P3.
I like how the 4 of them are just kind of holding this 50-yard line in the map. There was still 17 seconds of time left. No one got overzealous and tried to just solo chow for the rotation. You know you don't have the rotation. Let's just guarantee the rest of the scrap time and work our way over to try to make a break here. This could very well be a money hold for Texas State to get them back in this game, and they're going to need that. Up 78 points after what is just a few hills. Definitely something for CSUN to pat themselves in the back over, but the job's not done, so you can't get too ahead of yourselves. You've got to get a good clean break here to show that you can break if you lose the rotation, but right now Texas State, they're holding strong.
Much needed time here for Texas State. Out towards the side door fire. Almost was able to get 2 with Scripps. 3 in a row now, making the 4th one down if you are Texas State. Spawn's going to be on the right side, back by P1. Pandemic's going to have the head glitch out towards the window side. They're going to be able to clean up that kill feed just a bit more, but 4 in a row is Pandemic. Scripps from the middle of the map looks for a couple of players who are making their way on the rotation. Either way, CSUN in a perfect setup, in a perfect spot to be able to get a ton of time here on P4. The question is, will you be able to find these first couple of kills? The answer is yes, the Scripps will fall.
They have the opportunity to answer back with a full 60 of their own. So as much as Texas State are back in it, this could be completely null and void by the time CSUN are done over here on P4. Can Texas State get a good break in on rotation? Though they've lost it this time around, it was CSUN winning the kills. And the slaying, they are slightly edging out this Texas State squad. So as Dylan's going to get comms over to the team and start to work a pinch on the hill, players are going to start falling. Ruben with 2, and this lead now nearly getting to the 100-point mark of CSUN.
They played through the back spawns. They were able to disrupt the hill just enough. Unfortunately, the biggest problem is they just still got to be able to make sure they don't find their way back in towards that point. With 25 seconds left, a ton of great time for CSUN to be able to collect. Tactic, though, going to be playing towards the middle of the map. You look for these last 20 seconds of time. You're still spawning all the way towards the back. Ruben, a nice kill there. Will take him out for a bit of time. You rotate to P5 immediately after the fact. So staying and fighting for the last 15 to 20 seconds of scrap time on P4 isn't the end of the world. It's actually quite almost encouraged by different teams. Either way, as we talk for P5 setups, Dylan's going to be inside of top P2. Ruben looks to pinch Pandemic and the rest of the boys of Texas State trying to break on in.
Still have a 20-point lead here. You didn't let Texas State get clean time, though. They held those spawns, like you had mentioned, most of the time for P4. And as you get on P5, this is also one where if you're Texas State, you're trying to get as much time as you can, but really keeping CSUN off of it. You don't want their lead to extend out beyond 20 points where it is. You already had to bring it back with a full 60 of your own. This is where you can answer back, start to make the game even as we go back over to P1. And as the guns start to warm up for Texas State, I expect them to start winning a few more of these gunfights.
Staircase tactic. Doesn't realize that Dylan's walking up for a challenge. Wins a one-on-one gunfight. Pinstripe kill feed allows Stuka to escape with the life for the time being. You're looking towards the top of the mailroom. Pandemic, who's on the top of the staircase. You're just trying to break in on here. Texas State still has yet to find themselves a lead in the game. They've brought it back by about 40 to 50 points as they were down quite a bit earlier on inside of the game. We'll talk about the second set of rotations as we rotate back over towards P1, but the Matadors are set up and ready to go. Draco trying to go ahead, influence these spawns, but more importantly, create a pinch with the rest of the team.
Unable to find a kill in the back on these players, though they have to turn their head. That's going to be maybe just enough of a diversion to get the players in the hill from the front. Just a couple left standing, but it's 4 for 1 in the feed. Texas State are going to break in, so already kicking this next set of rotations off better than how they started, getting good time, and now the ball is in CSUN's court. You've got to answer with a break of your own. Now we're going to see this lead change come in, and it's Texas State holding strong.
2 kills out the side for Draco, more importantly. Pandemic, 7 in a row. You look to the spawn side, over the top, Pandemic in P5, trying to cut off a few players on rotation over towards P2. Stuka will drop down, you'll spot him out in the corner. Pandemic will make it 8 in a row. You already have full streaks. Anything that you attack on after this is going to be a cherry on top. Spawn's still going to be close here for the side of the CSUN Matadors. You try to break on into this hill, 4 seconds left, back at P1. You're going to be able to take a one-on-one gunfight. Dylan will win it, though. An ego challenge at that. Either way, we now look to P2. The first couple of players are going to be red arrows inside of that point. Polo trying to make some noise from the backside with the rest of the teams. Reinforcements were there, but they got shut down oh so quickly. In towards the point, Scripps wins a huge one-on-one.
Scripps is the only one in the hill. The teammates are around just trying to pick these players off as they try to cross and get in. So Scripps doing his job in the hill, winning these gunfights, takes another one, and they are getting all of this time. Now their lead extended out to over 50 points. Holding these players off, and for CSUN, it's almost dwindled. Their attacks are just becoming one-off hits, and they're just getting picked off. We're not seeing the early rotations that they started this game off with, and now we're seeing Texas State swing this so heavily in their favor, about to hit the 200-point mark, and if they get the rest of this time, which I think they will, look to get over that 200-point mark here and just be 50 points, one hill away from closing this out. CSUN need to tighten up.
I mean, Cash, isn't it crazy how this game was like a 70-point lead for CSUN at one time? Now it's completely flipped around in the opposite way. Texas State have, once again, not only made their presence known inside of a hard point, but they've also not they've also just completely turned everything around like they've done time and time again. For a team that really plays, they make it look easy whenever they're down by a considerable amount. This is not discounting anything the Matadors have done thus far. They can still create themselves a bit of a comeback. It's going to be very difficult, though, because Pandemic still has streaks to use. And there's 35 seconds left on this hill. That's only going to put them by about maybe at 30 down.
Yeah, they just haven't been winning the rotations, and that's what's been costing them. Even if they can break in and get good amounts of time, with it being this deep in the late game, they need to win a rotation here to secure themselves significant amounts of time. So you're at 50 points. It's going to be greater than that by the time you get rotated over to P4, because you lost that scrap time. But they look to be set here. They win a gunfight. There's a mid-map player for Texas trying to slip through. If they can find that player, Or is Draco going to play spoiler and cause some problems here early on P4? We will find out, but as this hill pops, it's going to be CSUN. If they can answer with the full 60, they're right back in this.
Draco with 1. A streak of the strafing run would be great on this hill as well. Right now you got a one-man army. Alias is Draco. Gets 2, a 3rd. Tries to go for the last one. Spawns have basically flipped, or at least one has been infiltrated. Scripps is going to go ahead and find 2 of his own. Texas State are slaying out. The Matadors are just trying to go ahead, prohibit any time from being taken in towards this point. But as Draco goes for number 8 in a row, finally will get cut down from behind. It's Dylan's turn to go on a little bit of a streak. 3 for him. But as the back spawns are there, Scripps will continue to stay alive. Dylan and the rest of the boys just trying to get as much hill time as they can. They've actually done a really good job of being able to prohibit all the time from going to Texas State.
They have done a great job at that. And at P5, another one where you perhaps have to do the same thing. You've got to find a way to scrape together a little bit more time. The last bit of P4 are going to go the way of Texas State, going to put them at, or excuse me, within 20 of winning this one. So they just have to dip a toe in here and there. But as we see 4 down in the feed, that's the clearance and opening you needed to get the first maybe 10 or 15 seconds of this hill, just to start to chip away at it bit by bit. You've got to keep winning these gunfights, securing yourself map position. As we see streaks come in, they're going to try to close this one out for Texas State.
15 seconds for Texas State to take a 1-0 series lead against CSUN. Ruben's got to break on in. Stun, nade, gonna try and weaken up the at least the initial force here, but around the corner, Scripps is gonna be able to find the shots onto 1. 5 seconds left. 2 players left alive for a challenge near the hard point. It's gonna be 1 from Pandemic. The second one won't be able to get to the hill in time. A 250 to 171 scoreline will close out things here in the Berlin hard point. We'll stay on Berlin for the S&D. Either way, Texas State triumphant after being down by about 60 early game.
It just shows how good these top teams are. You think like, okay, we started well. We're getting off to a hot start. You know these teams are going to have a response. That they're tried and true and tested. They are very battle tested in the sense that they find themselves in these situations and know how to get themselves out. That's what I think creates so much distance between, the top ranked teams and not down, like you said, 60, 70 points at one point. End up bringing it back and winning by about an 80-point margin. And as we have a look here at the stats, I mean, yeah, 3 of the 4 players over 20 points in that game. 24 non-traded kills for Draco of his 29. Just a really impressive stat line.
I mean, overall, you can credit Draco and Pandemic really for creating the catalyst that caused that comeback. I mean, you saw Pandemic when he went on, I believe it was 7 or 8 in a row at one point. Got the streaks for the team, and then Draco towards the later stages of that game when CSUN was trying to create a little bit of a comeback for themselves, basically shut it down by going on another 8-9 streak of his own. So both of those players, again, the catalyst in the reason Texas State were able to not only bring themselves with a comeback, but bringing everything and pushing it forward. So now we go to the search and destroy. We talk about Berlin. Overall, this has kind of been an iffy game mode, I guess you could say, for the Matadors. Their search and destroy hasn't been top tier. It hasn't been, towards the bottom end of things. It's been okay, better than mediocre, but not enough to kind of be a standout mode and say they could easily take this and win a series by it.
Yeah, it's been good enough for them when they've needed to win search and destroys. They've been able to, but this is going to be the series of series that you've had thus far to tell you and really gauge where you are. You start off hot on the hard point. It ends up slipping away from you there. I mean, it was like a 250 point to, I would have to guess they were at 100. So like 100. It was a 250 point to nearly a 50 point swing in the hard point. So again, it looked like a pretty close, like 80 point score line, but when you see how drastic it swung from they came out hot with over 100 points to instantly having that flipped on its head and only getting a few bits of time over the course of 5 hills, definitely not a way you want to do that. But again, in the search and destroy, like you said, it's good enough to where they have the ability to take it. It wouldn't be shocked if they did. But the way Texas State closed that one out, they definitely have to answer in a big way, and it's behind the effort of all 4 players.
Yeah, and for Texas State specifically, a search and destroy has been a game mode that I guess, again, it's kind of like what we did on Alpha, where it was like, they're kind of bad at it, but like not really. It's like there's blemishes on the track record, but there's not enough there to where it's alarming and or even a considerable amount to where you can even sit there and make a case for it being a bad mode. 14-4 overall, or rather 10-2 overall in search and destroy is nothing to snuff your nose at, number one. Number two, it's just good. They've only lost 2 series overall, and those are where both those S&D losses came from. So, I mean, maybe history repeats itself. They lose the S&D to Matadors, and then they lose the series overall. there's a lot of ways this can spin. Again, I'm going to stay strong to what I said at the top of the show. Texas State is a very strong, very good team. So is the Matadors, the CSUN. The biggest problem is, though, is that one team's going to have to win this series at the end of the day. And in my humble opinion, it's Texas State.
It's hard, especially whenever you see just the numerical ranking beside one of the team names. It's hard to go against that. And like you said, what we've seen thus far, got to be leaning that way. Is it going to be good enough for CSUN? Like you said, we have so much COD left that could it be a 2-3-5? Could it be a 3-4-5? Again, we have a lot of possibilities as the series goes on. It's just a matter of when this team wants to come alive and start to play the COD that, you know, they're able to compete with these top teams. For Texas State, you know they don't make many mistakes. If you're CSUN, you have to be ready to capitalize whenever they give you an opening. Whenever you have one, you have to take advantage of it because they'll put you down whenever you make a mistake. Be willing to make a big play in response to them slipping up as well. That'll show true, you know, resilience against these good teams and how, hey, I can recognize whenever you make a mistake too, and we're going to punish you just as bad. Don't play timid, you know, play up to what duty is calling, and you're playing against number 11 team, so you got to step up big.
So for map 1, the biggest thing that I noticed from the Matadors is when they were in a situation where they could play close angles inside of a hill, they were winning it 9 times out of 10. They looked very, very good inside of, say, P1, P2. The biggest problems and the swing problems that happened was when Texas State were able to get the long-range engagements, and you allowed Draco, you allowed Pandemic to use the ARs to get themselves map presence, and of course the long range and power positions that allowed them to go ahead and run the score up to the point where they win. So if you're the Matadors, you go back on Berlin. What you don't want to do is you don't want to put yourself in a situation where you're throwing your life out way across the map, or just have an MP40 to sprint in somewhere that you simply shouldn't be, and them getting cut down completely and utterly off the map instantaneously. So if you don't, if you want to get map presence, make it to where you're playing over towards A, or you're flying through the middle of the map and playing different corners, or you're just at least slide challenging with an AR at the same time. Because if you don't do that, it's GG's. It's over. It's done.
Yeah, you don't want to lengthen the map any more than you need to, and seeing as 4 of our 5 maps are going to be not Bocage, it's definitely the opportunity where you have to have that awareness to recognize, okay, we cannot take these long range gunfights. We were winning the close quarter ones, so let's close distance on this map where we can. And Draco opens up with a kill, so it's going to be life advantage already to Texas State, and it's that same situation, right? Gets a sniper kill, so you know that's a long range fight. CSUN, they have to find a way to not only start to win the first blood battles here in the Search and Destroy, but just like you said, close distance in the map, make the gunfights the close range fights that they're comfortable winning.
Polo looking through the back, Pandemic. Gunfights like those, you simply have to win when you spot the player first. Stuka will be able to trade things out, but it's Draco who finds the final snipe there at the end, which will allow Texas State to take the first round here instead of the Search and Destroy. So as we go up with a 1-0 advantage, it comes off of 2 snipes here from Draco inside the S&D. And you just got to think, in situations like that, that's how you make it pay. I said you can't be running out in wide open lanes because of AR challenges. Well, now you have another thing to worry about, and that's Draco with his big shtick.
Yeah, I do want to see CSUN do exactly what you've been saying, which is don't give themselves wide open areas to run through. There's not too many of them on Berlin, but there are just enough where, yeah, against a team like Texas State, they're going to punish you for it if they catch you out. Going to see a quick play over here to the B site. Ruben gets picked. Polo does trade it back, but with clearance on this B site, I expect to see the bomb go down. Polo looking to try to get another pick, but as now Texas State players are closing distance, could be able to catch 2 here.
Snipers out for both teams. Pandemic looking to play close by fire. Will escape with his life. There's 3 players inside of the site. 35 seconds left. Pops up to the top of fire. Dylan spots him out, so it's going to give the side of the CSUN Matadors the advantage in terms of the life count. Draco will wrap back to the spawn. Polo still with the sniper. Can look over the site. They don't realize that there's a player actually on the B site, though. Draco all the way in the back. Dylan will trade out his teammate. 1 versus 2 now for Scripps, who's laying down and waiting for the push from the Matadors onto that B site. Dylan making the way on. They're both going to challenge from the same door. First player going to go ahead and hop on, and Trigger Discipline for the first is going to try to sprint around the corner, but they're just going to be able to hop on the bomb there at the end. You would have loved maybe to get that first kill, but you thought that maybe the player would just be watching from the back and seeing if somebody would hop into the site. They hop off the bomb instantaneously after the fact, and that allows the CSUN Matadors to get themselves around in the S&D.
And good on them to challenge that together because, like you said, had Scripps decided to kill that player off bomb, there might not have been enough time to close distance, get the kill, and get the hop. But they play that together. That gets them their response round. Though it came down to needing to clutch up and make a play, they did just that. You get everyone off the map for Texas. Don't let any streaks start to accrue. Draco was on 3 prior to getting killed that round. And now, as you find yourself on offense again, definitely want it to go better than it did the first time around.
Dylan working their way up the train station. First nade going to come over the top on Scripps. It's a beautiful set nade. It allows them to have the man advantage early on in the round. Pandemic from the back. Won't be able to find anything. Ruben and Dylan are going to be able to pair for another 2. Now it's a 1 versus 4. Tactic would have to pull off a miracle, and that's a great way to start things off. But with 45 seconds left, you got to get the defuse as well and find your way all the way back over towards the A site with a post-plant setup from the Matadors.
They just looked ready and decisive in what they wanted to do. They bullied out the A site, got the bomb down, and now before Tactic could really respond and get over to help, bomb was down in a 1v4 situation. So again, yeah, you could say Tactic could win, a 1v3, but it's the time that always is the bigger problem. And sees one player not able to even get the kill there, the bomb was going to go off regardless. So good job from CSUN, like you said, to take a strong post-plant position there on that A site. They find themselves up 1 round.
Starts off with that nade over the top. Allows them to get positioning out towards that left side. Once you take off that player who's on the staircase, you can easily push up into that A site, especially when there's only one person who's actually playing in towards that A site. And once you go ahead and tack on those extra couple of kills and everybody else falls around the outside, leaves Texas State in a very sour position. Matadors win themselves a 2nd round in a row, go back to the defensive side, and await the push from Texas State that looks like it'll make its way over towards the A site. And as Tactic is now following up his teammate in Scripps, the first player they're going to run to surely should be player number 2 in Stuka, who's just trying to hold down an angle if they open that door.
Fight could be coming here. Kicks open the door. Stuka knows action's about to go off. Doesn't try to wallbang, just trigger discipline. Really trying to bait this player in, and it's really a standstill on this A site. Either squad just waiting for someone to make a mistake. B has no attention whatsoever. It's just kind of a staggered 4 hit on A. These 2 players watching the flank that's not coming through from the side of CSUN. So again, waiting for an opening. Polo with the sniper, Draco with the sniper, trying to find that opening pick to give each squad the opportunity to collapse on the site. And it's going to be CSUN who opens up the first blood.
Another first blood there from Stuka, but Scripps is able to trade things out inside of the site. 3 versus 2. The Matadors with the man advantage yet again. 32 seconds left. Bomb's going to work its way in towards the A site, or you got to make a rotation over towards B. Off screen, Ruben will be checking that B site, realize there's nothing there, so can rotate back with the rest of the team, but Pandemic through the middle of the map is going to be able to open things up and make it a 2 versus 2. Polo, though, still looking on that bomb site with the sniper. Doors are going to open. You look to the challenge on the back site. You're not going to be able to hit the shot right immediately. 12 seconds left. Nobody pushing from that B site either. You should be able to get this down. 45 seconds left, and maybe you snipe. You think the player's pushed up. No, you're getting that bomb down.
If they play this together, this should be a good round 1 for them, but Scripps is going to close distance on Polo with the sniper, and if he can get this kill before the teammate's able to get over, that could be good, but as Polo's running around playing his life, Ruben's going to hop on the bomb, and now it forces Scripps to have to run back and make the play, which he does. Still 30 seconds left, and you get the kill for your Polo. I mean, one of the craziest ways to take a round, you split the attention of Scripps and play that to your advantage, but a very unorthodox defensive retake, but I like it. It gets the job done.
Oh, I want to just see that whole interaction again.
Scripps had, I feel like he was that Patrick image with both of his eyes looking 2 different ways. The action's happening on the bomb, but you've got to get Polo killed. It really just good on Polo just to skate around, and I thought he was dead to rights.
I mean, did he have his monitor turned on there?
Right?
I mean, because the thing is, he made the right play. He challenged aggressive towards Polo with the sniper, and then, unfortunately, what ends up happening is he just choked every single one of his shots, and and then dipped out. So, 4 in a row here from Polo. Texas State, the butt end of the joke there in that last round. However, Scripps will be able to find the first blood here, the first time since the round that they were able to win in round number 1. Bomb's still making its way over towards A. The problem is it's down at the moment, and Scripps is looking to find himself the 2nd kill.
And for CSUN, you've started the search and destroy off, just like how you started off the hard point in a sense where you go up early in the round count or in the point count, and Now you just have to find a way to hold on and just go even for even with these rounds, and you'd win it out. But you find yourself in a 1v4 situation after winning 3 straight. Texas State do find a way to respond, but it can't be another case of starting out hot and finishing cold, right? It's awesome that they started off winning 3 in a row. That's great. That's exactly what you'd want to do. You've got to find a way to hold on and not let this team get momentum, because as we saw on the hard point, once they do, it's a very hard train to stop.
I mean, it's just a case of keeping the foot on the gas.
Yeah.
A lot of it's you look at traditional sports, and a team will build up a lead, and then you go into prevent mode, and you don't want to go into prevent mode. You just want to keep piling things on top of what they already are. You want to keep that ball rolling. You want to keep that snowball keep on going down that hill, picking up more and more snow to where it gets bigger and bigger and bigger until you're able to go ahead and win the game outright. So Polo with a sniper. Draco was able to find the first blood. Maybe if you're Polo here, you're able to find the shot. Unfortunately, the little jump there. You look for the second challenge. Won't be able to find the shot. So a 3 versus 2. Bomb will go down. Post plant set up all the way in the back of their spawn.
Texas State getting in post plant position. All arrows facing the spawn of CSUN. I don't even know if they're aware these players slipped through. Now you're going to see the arrows start to spin around, head on a swivel, try to find them, and Draco's going to call that out. There's one. Don't worry about that. And now with one more left, that's going to be the round. So Texas State rip off 2 of their own, draw us even at 3 apiece. Good awareness from them to recognize, okay, no action on this side. Let's just have a look around and see what we get. And they find both players in quick succession. It's going to be up to CSUN now to try and stop this momentum. You find yourself in the same situation as Hardpoint. Okay, it's a tied game. What can we do differently this time around to adjust the squad? And for me, it's, again, winning those first bloods again, getting that first blood, getting out of your life.
Sure. Snipers have been big for both teams. Key plays throughout the entirety of this Berlin search and destroy. Pandemic looks to the middle of the map, trying to find a player, maybe getting a bit too aggressive towards middle, just trying to play an angle. Get some great timing in the process. Tactic has made his way over towards the B site. Doesn't realize the bomb is going down, but we'll know here very, very soon. It is the bomb queue goes off. Dylan trying to go ahead and bust those doors down to where they can play all the way through their back spawn. Tactic will push up in towards the left. Polo is there. Did he get the call out on the player that was over towards that beach side? No, though he goes to close the door. Scripps pushing up now with Tactic over towards that left side. Polo will get the best of him. A first blood, 25 seconds to make this play back in towards the site. And it's just too little too late. Nobody knew where anybody was from Texas State. Matadors had played their lives perfectly, and they're reaping every single reward that's humanly possible from this last round. That was flawless.
That was very clean. In and out without Texas State even knowing you're on the B site thinking you're good to go. But that's what I love. Whenever you can get crossed early, you're on the site and they don't even realize it because they don't think you crossed that fast. So I like the decisiveness from CSUN there just to get the quick bomb plant and then just pick these players off as they tried to work their way over. They find a good way to respond, find themselves up 4-3, and now they just need to take it one round at a time, do what's working for them. And again, it's those quick plans, and on defense, it's playing around the first blood. Like we saw Texas State last time on this A hit. It took a while for action to get going, but once it did, it resulted in that crazy 2v1 situation that CSUN was able to take.
Busting through the door, Scripps is going to knock it open. Nobody going to check it just yet, but there is a flank coming through, and Dylan could read this just perfectly. Going to be able to find the first, sprints in towards the site, is able to fly through the second door, escape with a life, so you get that first blood, and you're reaping every reward that comes with that, as well as having yourselves in a 4 versus 3 situation. Stuka will find another one. Pandemic will finally find a trade, but it's a 1 versus 3. Draco with a sniper. It's going to be so difficult to retake this site in a one-on-one gunfight. Dylan now going to be chasing all the way from behind. You're creating a pinch as Polo and the rest of the gang. Oh, he's just going to stick it. Draco's on the actual bomb itself. Just kidding. Well, that was the Matadors defusing.
That's 2 in a row. That puts you at match point. What a way to respond after how that hard point slipped away from you. CSUN have found a way to dig deep and stay the course here in the search and destroy. I like the composure they're playing with, and now at match point, again, job's not done. You've seen Texas State rip off 3 in a row. They do that here, and unfortunately you find yourself down 0-2. You've got to find a way to close out this last round.
Here we go on another offense to close out the game here. The Matadors trying to tie the series up at 1 apiece. Their plan is to hit the A site directly. However, Draco had different plans. First blood with a sniper. Gotta find your way onto the site, though. They're gonna back all the way off. Basically playing where Polo did the last couple rounds. So hard to get on the day site when you don't know where anybody is, and you also have the life advantage. That's unfortunately not in your favor. Rotation over towards B, though, from the defensive side. They basically just gave him A for free.
Yeah, if you're sitting here with the 4v3 retake, you may as well give it a shot. You know, they're going to clear out and guarantee that, okay, no one's coming this B side. We find another pick here in the backside, so you know that flank's open. These players are basically pinning this A side. Just process of elimination, how that's going to go. Draco is able to get the snipe on Dylan, and Stuka left is just left to chase Draco down, try to get the sniper off the map, but really there's no time to work with.
Stuka from behind. First kill. Has to get 4 here to close out the S&D. As the bomb in hand, can work with it perfectly, but Pandemic sitting in the corner will be able to cut that last player down. Texas State will make it a little bit closer to that round 11. Still down a round. They're going to have to go big on an offense to be able to go ahead and force things to that final round 11. Either way, nothing can take away from what the Matadors have done so far here in the Search and Destroy. They've played it perfectly to a T, and right now, they're playing Texas State like a fiddle.
They are, and if you want to separate yourself, you know, from being a pretty good team to a great team, you've got to find a way to, you know, finish the situations that you start and close out maps where you need to. I know I keep harping on that for the CSUN team, but that's what's really going to elevate and propel them to the next level. Can you, against a team this good, show that, hey, we've got the ice and the composure to get things done, take care of business on maps and modes that we need to. And again, the same A push we've seen before, it's stagnant. Once the first blood comes through, expect absolute pandemonium to break out on this site. It's just a matter of either team waiting for that first mistake. Tactic strikes first.
Such a big kill because that clears out everybody that's actually inside of the site. Scripps can try to maybe fly around the corner, find the player who's just trying to play desperately. Dylan, nade in. 2 players still just playing ring around the rosy with each other. Tactic and Scripps will go ahead and find a couple more kills. 1 versus 3. Ruben now picks up the sniper, looks to play with the rest of the team, but is across the map completely.
This is again gotta be a miracle. It looks like we're gonna be going to around 11. Ruben just gonna try to find a free pick, but you've got so much to clear out before you can even get to this A site, and I'm not even sure he'll be able to get a pick here long. You know, but these players for Texas State giving no information. You don't have much time left to make a play. You snap on one, but it's Pandemic on the other side to watch over you to make sure, hey, we get this round 11, and now we stand a chance to close it out. So now if you're CSUN, you're sweating a little bit. You know, you had a chance to put them away for the last few rounds. You let it get to round 11. Can you really get this done? You know, you don't want to be backs against the wall to have to do something like this, but this is the position they find themselves in. Texas State, again, we keep talking about, you know, CSUN and how they need to be able to close it out, but props to Texas State for, again, just like in the hard point, taking a hit, and they're rolling and pulling it back. They don't give up.
Texas State, composure has been key. Ice is clearly there. You've got to win one more round to complete the comeback. You were down 5-3 at one point. First shots there for Polo, though. We'll find the first blood of the round. Bomb's going to go down over towards that B site. They've had a very difficult time being able to retake this. Pandemic was trying to trace the player all the way towards the back shed. You know where one player will be playing. But the problem is you have to get that player off of that head glitch. Draco played so far back. You've only got 35 seconds to work with. You've got to get all the way over towards the site. Polo made such a great play getting that first blood. Now, all you have to do is just finish them off. Dylan around the corner. Pandemic trying to find the first couple of shots onto him. We'll tag one up all the way in the back. Dylan will finally fall. 3 versus 2 now. As the side of Texas State have to go. You have to push the agenda. Pandemic is there. Polo all the way in the back. Everybody's so spread out from the Matadors. It'll be an opportunity to go ahead and be in a clutch situation. Stuka from behind. The bomb diffuser is dead. Everybody falls. The Matadors will tie the series up 1 apiece. Take that into credit for the S&D. They clutch up in the round 11.
They went back to what worked and where they found a lot of success on that B site on offense. Great job from them. They went, made the decision to get that quick plant. Like you said, Polo, just that really was the round for me. I mean, of course, the quick plant helps, but just getting that opening pick puts so much pressure on the defense to have to make a play. And especially with Bomb following suit and going down moments after that, you really put Texas State in a bind there. They played their positions, just milked the clock, didn't give up anything for free to Texas State. End up closing that one out. So now we draw the series at 1-1. We're guaranteed 4 maps here, and good performance from CSUN.
I'll admit when I'm wrong. The Matadors stunned me there in the search and destroy. I thought it was going to be more of the same that we saw inside of the hard point, where Texas State were going to be able to run away with it. The Matadors come out, they surprised me. Again, at the top of the show, I said it probably was going to be a 3-0, could be a 3-1. That was the map that I was eyeing for the Matadors to maybe take off of Texas State. That's now giving them momentum to go forward inside of the series. And as they go on, I truly do think that CSUN is a team that is capable of taking down Texas State. I just don't know if this is the correct series. But now I have, at least in my mind, a little bit more of leeway to say, okay, this series is very, very far from over. We're tied only at 1 apiece. We go to a control next. But, I mean, Cash, talk to me a little bit just overall. 10-5 there from Polo. Seem to be in every right place at every time in the S&D.
Yeah, just whenever you have a player and teammates who, okay, we know where Polo can find success on the map, get him those positions and let him fry. That's exactly what happens. So often you see, again, I keep talking about the matchup where people like to come into him and not take shots, or they stray away from their gameplay because they're trying so hard to counter a really good team. Do what works for you, and it's Polo in those power spots, just picking those first bloods. In the rounds where they found first bloods, they were finding success. And so for me, that's just great job from CSUN to say, hey, let's stick to our course. Let's not let Texas State throw us off. We know what we do when we execute it properly. It works. And that was those B plans. That was Polo looking over and getting picks at long range. I know you said maybe stay away from those gunfights, but Polo was able to step up and win some of those. And again, they kept up with their close range engagements. So from them, it was just a good adjustment and bounce back that they needed to make after losing that hard point.
Matadors come out big inside of the search and destroy, ice up in the round 11, and are able to go ahead and tie the series up at 1 apiece. Either way, that's not going to do it for the series just yet. We are going to jump to a quick break, but when we come back, it'll be a Tuscan Control. My name is McCormiel. With me is Cash. We'll be back here in just a moment. Tuscan Control and a Bacage Hardpoint are the last 2 guaranteed maps of this series. We don't know if we'll be going to a map number 5 just yet. We'll find that out over the course of these next 2. My name is McCormiel. With me is Cash. Texas State 1-1 against the Matadors. The S&D was a lot closer than a lot of people might have assumed, but more importantly, the Matadors come out on top. Again, something that was quite stunning, but after what I saw there in the S&D, I'm ready to say the Matadors have a chance in this series. However, I'm not necessarily convinced just yet. They at least showed that they can the battle with the Titan of Texas State toe-to-toe. We'll see if that continues to be possible as we start up the search, or rather the control here on Tuscan. Cash, talk to me a little bit about not only the last map, but control here specifically for both of these teams.
Yeah, this was the mode coming into this that I said if CSUN are going to either kick off a reverse sweep or have to take, I said it was a mandatory mode, essentially. I still think that's the case, definitely. I think these next 2 maps, I would say more so than getting to a game 5, CSUN stands the best chance to take the series. I don't think you're going to get 2 S&Ds off of a team like Texas State, and I think, like we were talking about in the Berlin, whenever we were breaking down kind of those closer hardpoint engagements, they like to play up close and in your face. So for CSUN, I think if you win this control, which is the mode you're most evenly matched with this Texas State squad in on paper, and then you go to Bacage, where that's close quarter, high engagements, win those gunfights, I think they stand a chance to really shock and win in the 3-1 fashion. I think that's a better chance of happening than maybe a game 5. Now, of course, anything can happen, but just looking at what we've seen tonight, I think if they're going to do it in 3-1, it's in these next 2 modes.
Tuscan Control, always a fun time, in my opinion, much better than Gavutu Control, but it's not very hard to beat Gavutu Control in a lot of stances. Either way, nades and stuns over the top. Starting off, it's going to be the side of Texas State, who find themselves over inside of the A site. 2 players stacking the point. The first tick of progress going to be earned. CSUN looking to try and break back in. You have to look to player number 8 and Dylan, who's making a sneak flank around the back. However, we'll turn the attention to middle map, and towards the top window will be shut down instantaneously. Texas State, A point secured. Only 10 seconds ticked off the clock with 2:20 left to get over towards B.
CSUN better have had a plan, because I don't even think I saw them break past Church. I know they got picked early, but this setup here for B has to be nearly impenetrable. You have to hold for what is 2 minutes, and you already find yourself down 4 lives. So really, Texas State, it's theirs to lose. They have over 2 minutes on the clock. They have control of the back, and now You just have to see where the next hit's going to come from. Texas State have the ability to work to P5 if they can get a pick, but as that pick's coming in Church and they still have back control, I'm thinking it's coming from there.
Long trek across the map from the spawn point. Texas State are going to have multiple cracks to get in towards this point, but again, the Matadors can easily win this defensive side. We know how easy it can be to clutch up on the defenses on Tuscan. So many corners to play, so many head glitches to use and abuse. As you find the opposition starting to push towards you very, very aggressively. Right now, Texas State has a few lives to throw away in terms of the life advantage. You never want to go ahead and lose that life advantage, but, you know, it's moments like these where you're okay with losing a couple just to get a little bit of map presence and control back over towards the site. Ruben and Polo, though, will pair for 2. You see Tactic, who comes up the map now. Scripts now making their way over towards that right side. Will win a one-on-one gunfight against Polo. This might be able for a break. You gotta look to Dylan on the staircase, though, of Radio, and, of course, the rest of the players who are spawning oh so close for the Matadors at that B point.
The trades go back and forth, but with the spawns and the presence is going to be CSUN, so they hold off once again another attack, and what was over 2 minutes of time going over to this B site has now dwindled down to 45 seconds. So yeah, the lives, you have the advantage if you're Texas State, but again, you have to be able to play the clock. Though it's not Gavitu, it's still a hike to get over to this site, and if you can get one more clean wipe, get pushed out to P5, CSUN really stand a chance to take this one here.
Pandemic lays down. Dylan gets the best in the one-on-one. 25 seconds left. You got 1 or 2, maybe good more breaks at this hill. Now you're just looking at 1 as 2 players will fall. 2 players now making their pinch play around the hill. Draco's going to be able to find 1. Now Draco make it 2. Trying to push through the church around to the backside spawn. Player number 7 is going to be there, but gets some unfortunate timing. Player 8 spawns up so close off screen. Dylan's going to be able to win the gunfight there. Stuka from the top will be able to find the first. Back over towards that staircase. Now it's going to be another trade that comes in. 11-6. Players still here. Spawns close for the Matadors. Players in the reinforcements for Texas State across the map. Tactic will find 2. Pandemic turns around and is able to find Dylan in way of a headshot, and now back onto the point. It's back and forth as we go. Stuka there. Last player close is going to be Scripps for the side of Texas State. You look to go huge for your roster. You turn around, you're able to find 1. Now you just got to stay alive until everybody gets across, but with 4 seconds left, nobody's going to be able to touch this hill. The Matadors are going to go big on the defensive side to win the first round.
I called after they let A go for free, basically, off the rip. They better have a pretty impenetrable setup, and they did. They're confident in their defensive setup here on Tuscan Control. They come out and win that one, and the lives dwindling down to the single digits there. They're going to find themselves on offense, and if you can answer on Tuscan, which is obviously the map with the more winnable offensive side, this could be huge for CSUN to go potentially 2-0 here early on. Texas State, though, they look to respond in a big way on defense.
2 minutes and 20 seconds on that hold. They're not getting a single person to even touch or contest over at that A site. Definitely a great way to turn your round around. Draco will jump down. We'll find the first. Tries to go an aggressive ego challenge over towards that right side, but you already got players who are stacking that B point. If you are the Matadors, Nate over the top should be able to find 1 or at least weaken 1 up. Everybody else now going to be starting to go ahead and surround the point here for Texas State. 11-7 for Draco, the big standout performer, with tactics at 8-4. Besides that, really nobody else has stepped up to the plate, at least right now. The Matadors still over on B. They'll finally clear everything off and get it back down to just 1 tick. But at the same time, as that's happening, well, the A site's getting controlled.
And Dylan has a big job here in Church and Catwalk, just trying to make that transition back to A that much harder. But as they float around through P5 and up Church side, the pinch going to come in. They're able to find a couple here and grant clearance on the site for the squad. Finds 1, finds 2 in tactic. That's going to be complete A control, as now they're looking to close in on 2 ticks of progression here. Try to work their way over to this B site, and already having 1 at B, that's a pretty good way to start.
Big flank there from Dylan allowed them to get around to the player who was contesting in towards the hill. Jump shot around the corner. Scripps is going to be there. Another contest for the last 2 players of Texas State who have pushed themselves up. The Matadors still have man advantage. Problem is you don't have that A zone captured yet, and you only have 1 minute and 2 seconds left. Still a ton of time. You could be right around 2 minutes to get back over towards that B zone. But with everybody pushing up through the middle of the map, and a lot of red arrows controlling that center portion, and now we're going to be rotating back down towards that south side of the map. The 3 hit from the Matadors has to be flawless. You at least have to go 3-1 on trades if you want to see the light of day. You'll get into the hill to stop the time, while everybody can now start to rotate back across. You're just trying to go ahead and find your way into the spawn side. I'm not sure if I love the play or not.
Yeah, I was about to say that I like it because they rotated through B to try to get back control, but really player 8 and Dylan just ran from spawn through P5, through back over to A, and hasn't been on the point. So I don't know. It's like a lot of movement around the map, but it's not amounting to anything because now you're at 30 seconds and still don't have A. Sure, you could close it out here, but if they can do a timely attack, they could have stopped this. They're going to opt to give it up and cut these players off on rotation. They have a 3-life advantage. Now, like you had mentioned, what could have been 2 minutes there, it seems like about 40 seconds of running around. That's now going to only give them 1:20 to work as B-side. They have players here. Got to stay alive if you're Dylan. Unfortunately, Pandemic's going to find that kill, and you're back to square one. With 60 seconds left just about, you only have a couple good pushes.
5 spree here from Pandemic. Ruben trying to make a little bit of a play. Up and toward the rest of the teammate. You want to be able to break in towards this HQ into P5. You don't know what corners everybody's going to be playing in. Taking alternative routes. Just trying to make a play happen. Wasting precious time here, though. You get up the map, the first one will fall. Polo's there, though, with Draco on a trade in a technical way. Stuka around the corner, another pistol kill. You have another player who's going to be able there for the pinch. Pandemic and Draco go huge over the top yet again here in another game mode. Around the corner, Pandemic, 7 in a row. The last player needed in order to stall and completely negate that push from the Matadors. They go off the top spawn. They're going to try and push their way back down in towards the point, but so much map control, so much presence from Texas State here on the defensive side. With only 5 lives left for the Matadors, you'd have to assume this is over. No respawns remaining overall. Ruben, Dylan, though, they're going to pair for 2. You can get onto the point. Spawns are still going to be close, though. That's what you have to worry about. Stun over the top. Nade going to follow suit just in a moment. And with these last 4 lives, you got to get a huge 2-piece there from Pandemic. Ruben and Polo will trade that out, though, and it has to be a 2 versus 7. Second tick of progress tries to go for it. Down from the top is Polo. Okay, maybe this is a little bit more doable. You have another player there over towards the corner. It's going to be a pinch play here, though. Going to be very difficult in a 1 versus 4. You're not going to be able to get it. Either way, Texas State now going to get themselves the first round on the board here on defense. We're tied 1-1 here in control.
Texas State had to earn that defense just a bit more than I would say CSUN did on the other side of it. Like you said, it became manageable there for a second if you're CSUN, and with back-to-back defenses being won, nothing crazy happening here, as we all expect at this point in control. It's really going to come down to who can take the first offense, whether that is going to be Texas State in this round number 3, or if we have to have it go to a game or round number 5 to find out if someone can clutch up or not. That's what we will find out. Looking here, Pandemic on 2, trying to carry that over from this previous round. No one with streaks to my knowledge. Everyone finding kills where they need to on the map, and now with early progression over at this A site and kills going their way, Texas State looked to have another big rotation over to B, and they look to try to break CSUN.
All the way in the back, just trying to hold the spawn side. Once again, Texas State, basically a mirror image of what we saw beforehand. 2 minutes and 22 seconds to break back over towards that B site. I'm not sure if the Matadors are doing this on purpose or if it's just the bad break-off that forces them to play in the back, but they just seem so comfortable with letting a team get the entirety of the A site and then have to come through them in order to get onto the zone.
Yeah, their opening break feels like oh no, they got A, because how confidently they played it on defense last time. Yeah, maybe you do chalk it up and just let it go, but with 3 people in the back, that is going to be danger. We've seen them hold this off before. They've got to find the kills. Stuka finds 1. Tactic tries to get another, and for now, if you are CSUN, you're holding on. A couple players still alive in the back that you have to find. Draco gets the kill there, but you're still in position. It's still okay. Can you work enough of this clock to make Texas State have to make a big play? And that's where they found success on defense. CSUN, they haven't given up a big play to afford Texas State an offensive round.
All the way in their back spawns, now making the pinch play back over towards the point. Player number 2 will turn around. An off-screen engagement is going to be 1. Polo and Dylan finally will get the first white in the kill feed here in just a bit of time. And Scripps gets that final kill. You're looking to at least get 1 tick of progress over towards this B zone. Polo will jump down. An aggressive challenge is going to allow the side of the Matadors to not give any bits of progress of B up just yet. 19 and 6 in the lives, a 3 advantage to the side of the Matadors. Now with 1 minute and 20 seconds left, Texas State will recuperate and try to go for another team hit yet again.
Clock working here, 2-2 split through P5 and Church. They've got a few gunfights to take here in the back. Polo's going to win 1. On the back side, the player's going to drop, and with that Church spawn, it could be a little pinch being worked in here, but this player and Dylan's going to opt to go through mid, try to wrap through P5 and pinch these players. So, again, lots of movement around the map for the CSUN squad. They really get around on Tuscan. It's not going to amount to a kill. As 3 go down in the feed, and they're on the hill. 36 just got to find a pick here on plat and work his way back to the point.
Big from Stuka will weaken up that second player on the point. Pandemic just has to play his life now. Dylan out from the church, player inside of radio as well, trying to make this pinch play happen on the point, and that's exactly what they'll do. Draco's still at the point, though. 13-5. 45 seconds left. Slowly but surely, the bottom of the church, just holding an angle, waiting for the push now to come through. No respawns remaining once again here for the side of the Matadors, but Stuka will be able to find the first. Slides around the corner, gets some good camera angles, but Tactic is able to turn all the way around while prone on the floor to find that kill. Dylan, trade, pinstripe kill feed. Draco yet again, though. Now it's a 3-1 trade here for the side of Texas State. Last player alive is going to be Dylan in a 1 versus 10. That'd be crazy. He's just going to play a corner for the time being. This round is going to go to the side of Texas State.
All you needed was some strategic kills for CSUN to be able to do that, but again, the kills got a little too out of hand, and, well, when you find yourself in a 13-5 situation, you don't give yourself room for error if you get wiped. And so Texas State, recognize that, take advantage, take the offensive round, and as they find themselves back on defense, they could very well close this one out and go up 2-1 in the series as we head over to our map 4, but CSUN, they have to respond on offense here if they want to stay alive.
Gave credit to the Matadors in the search and destroy. The biggest question mark that remained on the series was how would they be able to respond going back into another respawn. First round was great. Unfortunately, though, an offense and a defense here for the side of Texas State have put them in a position to where they can now win this with a good offensive push. Or, excuse me, a defensive hold over on that A site. Problem, though. B site getting controlled now. Scripps going to be able to find one. Stuka, who's playing all the way through the back spawn, is going to be able to get the trade immediately after the fact. They're just trying to get that first bit of contention at the B site. Progress is going to be made, so at least you're guaranteed to only have to get 2 of those final ticks. Stuka's done a great job of playing his life over towards that site. That's 3 in a row, but on the opposite side, Draco's got now 5.
You know the collapse was coming in. You avert enough attention over to this B site, but with players falling at every other part of the map, you don't have anything going at A still. Lives are just about even, but you've really got to find these kills, and I would have loved to have seen CSUN win those gunfights and take advantage of that A site. Of course, they would have liked that as well. You get 1 tick of progression. Now, are we investing too much in A? It depends on how these, or B, it depends on how these next few gunfights go. You're spawning roof and trying to work through plat, but player 4 is going to be the one to keep an eye on Scripps, working through mid-map, trying to work a pinch here, and if they can get this here, it works out. If not, maybe you've killed too much time.
Big kills from the side of the Matadors around the corner. Tactic will find 1. Trades now going back and forth between these 2 teams, but you'll completely wipe that B site off the board because the Matadors have added an extra minute onto the clock and then simultaneously have gotten themselves the hardest zone here on Tuscan to be able to find. They have to win this offensive round if they want to keep their control alive and find themselves in a round 5, potentially with an advantage going into the map number 4 hardpoint. Ruben on 4 in a row. The rest of the Matadors now trying to get back over towards the point, but Pandemic and the boys from Texas State holding strong, playing resilient. But now through the back, they're trying to flank yet again. Some good timing here potentially for player number 5 in Polo. They just got behind Draco as they came off spawn.
The spread, though, from CSUN, it's just a little too everywhere. Like, I'm looking around, and there's just players in all 4 corners of the map, it feels like, for this top side. They're finally starting to converge together onto this hill from you and from church side door with 1 player left on the point. They should get that wipe and start getting progress. Now you've just got to get together, hold your power positions and your angles, and get this point secured. Easier said than done, of course, against a Texas State squad like this, but thus far they're doing it. They're taking a half of progression already in.
Dylan killing the Pandemic, 9-6 advantage for the Matadors. You try to go for a big challenge around the corner. It's been great here thus far for the Matadors as they stack the point. You got to get on for the contestation. You don't realize Polo's in the corner. Now the last couple of players trying to fly on through. Tactic, the last one there. They force the round 5, and the Matadors will respond with an offensive round win. Now the question is, Cash, who has the offense? Who has the defense? Unfortunately, I can't do the math that fast.
It'll be CSUN has to go back-to-back offenses, absolutely. They're going to have to go back-to-back and take them in order to get this. So a moment where, yeah, you've got to show the utmost composure and clutch. It's going to be here. You do it by taking the B site first and working back over to A. Now we'll see what they opt to do here. It's going to be all 4 flying. Of course, Texas State going to respect that B push. Going to send someone over there, and if you have the numbers advantage, you can try to bully this out and really get some early progress. So CSUN, ball's in their court, and they're taking advantage.
Pandemic around the corner. The first blood inside of the round. Stuka trying to capture this A zone. Once again, look at player number 8 in Dylan. making their way over towards B. They're going to be able to stop the time while also making a pinch play all the way through the back. Got to make this aggressive. Player number 4 is actually going to read it, but you might get some great timing on those 2 players that went into the church. So now as you're wrapping all the way back around through the spawn, Scripps is going to be able to find one inside of the middle of the map. Trade by Polo, though, will allow things to start making its way back over towards that B zone. You basically have controlled the spawns now, but Draco has to go big here if you want to be able to stop this B hit from working yet again.
I hate to just like point out one player, but I see Dylan once again take another route where you'd mentioned he got over to that B site, tried to make a play there, didn't end up getting on it to not get away position, wrapped all the way through to try to work a pinch, didn't find a kill on the pinch, rotated all the way back over to B, and ended up getting killed. So again, just a lot of movement from the route players for CSUN, and it's not amounting to anything, and hopefully that doesn't come to cost them, but with getting around the map like that, you've got to be able to find a pick here or there to try to avert eyes and attention over to you. That's just not the case. Texas State, now 30 seconds left for CSUN to make a play. You're down 5 lives, kind of in a bind. They know someone's at A. Are they going to be able to get the picks? That's the question. But yeah, with CSUN, you've done a lot on the map. It hasn't really come into much. And now with Pandemic using a streak, you might have just costed yourself the game.
Overall, they say lightning doesn't strike twice in the same place. The Matadors try to go back-to-back here on the offensive side. Thus far, it hasn't been great for him. Draco's going to be able to spot one. Stuka will turn around, try to spot out Draco at the same time. But you now know where one player is back over towards that B zone. Draco playing so aggressive up in towards the spawn. You're able to find one, maybe able to turn on to Ruben. But you have another player who's now making their way in towards the top of the broken apartment building back over towards you. 7.5 seconds left. The Matadors on the B zone. They're going to be able to find that first tick. Now the reinforcements from Texas State are up. It's still a 10-life advantage, but you want to be able to make sure you can clear this point and not have to worry about this going back over towards A. First player knocked off the board. Trade back and forth. Second tick of progress trying to be in. Last player live is going to be Dylan. He's been the route man this far, trying to make plays happen. Unfortunately, won't be able to make it work there. The Matadors will lose the offensive side. Texas State will take map number 3, a 2-1 advantage in the series, and now can close things out on a Bacage hardpoint.
CSUN, again, I think just spent a little too much time trying to find an opening and not getting it, and I think that's what ended up costing them. Was a lot of time was spent looking for something and not capitalizing and taking advantage of what was in front of you and what Texas State was giving you, and that was really the A site. I think they tried to work that B site a bit too much, like you said, lightning striking the same place twice. Put a couple too many investments into that B site and ended up not affording them any time to go over to A and really make a play. From there, Texas State's able to read it, and just having a look at these stats, I mean, 43 kills for Draco. Jeez, dude. The guy was having his way, man. I just, that slipped by me. I didn't realize he dropped 43.
Oh, yeah.
That's impressive.
Oh, yeah. Draco had a massive performance. Halo Draco, 43 and 31. 26 non-traded kills. And the biggest glaring statistic here overall. You got to take a look at those non-traded kills comparatively to the side of the Matadors. Slaying was absolutely by far and away in the side of Texas State's favor. You got to think if the Matadors are able to go ahead and maybe find a couple of more kills on some of those offensive or defensive rounds, you know, maybe you have a better chance of getting that defense in that round 5. But again, it just seemed like Texas State, when they were down, they were like, okay, you know what, we lost that round. How about we just go ahead and outright win this map number 3? And that's exactly what they did. They clutched up with the ice. That's what Texas State is capable of. That's why they're the number 11th ranked team. And that's why they are continuously going to be a scary roster come playoff time and over the course of this next couple of games and next couple of weeks inside of the season. The Matadors, though, they're not done just yet, although they're down 1-2 now. Bacage hardpoint is definitely a map where they can thrive a bit. But, you know, Texas State, as much as they favor their AR play on a map like Berlin, they can also turn it to 11 at the same time on a very mixy, small map like Bacage. So, Cash, overall, this series still, at least to me, feels like a Texas State esports roster win. But at the same time, the Matadors could, in tow, potentially win this and send this to a map 5.
They could, and again, I still just have this feeling that if it goes to a game 5, I don't think it's going to go CSUN's way, and unfortunately, the only way they can win at this point is in a game 5. Again, we've been proven wrong on the desk here many a time. I hope CSUN can do it and get us there to a game number 5, but like you said, I do feel that Texas State, this is theirs for the taking. Yeah, maybe in those close gunfights, you favor CSUN a little more based on how they played that Berlin hard point, but again, when you're Texas State, it's only bound to happen. Those guns are bound to turn up, and those engagements are going to go swing your way.
While we figure things out on the back end, we're going to send things to a quick break. When we come back, Texas State tries to close things out on a Bacage. CSUN Matadors, they try to send us to a map 5. I'm McCormiel, with me Cash. We'll be back in just a moment. Well, we apologize for a longer delay, but due to some lobby issues, we are replaying round 5 of the control only. So we're not replaying the entirety of map 3. We're not just going to map 4. We're replaying round 5. It's going to be 2-2. Whoever wins this round, thumbs up, pat on the back. You have a 2-1 lead going into map number 4. That's it. That's all there is to it. I'm McCormiel, with me Cash. The Matadors, Texas State, still technically tied at 1-1. It was Texas State who were able to win the last defensive round on control. However, this time around, we'll just have to line them back up, let them go to the races one more time, and see who comes out triumphant as ever to get a 2-1 lead going into the hard point. Cash?
We said Lightning can't strike the same place twice, and now that's in Texas State's court. Can they win 2 defenses? Of course, you got to feel favored going into it, being on defense on Tuscan, that, yeah, you probably stand a better chance. Odds are probably a little more in your favor, but hey, if you're CSUN, you get another crack at it to try and win that offense that you couldn't get in that round number 5. So if you're CSUN, get another chance to take a lead in this series. And push it to what is it, game number 5, or excuse me, no, a guaranteed game 4, sorry. Go up here, Texas State, gotta clutch up again, go big on defense, and win this one. Get us to our Prakash hard point. One last round to play for the control, and I'm ready as ever.
Look, Cash, there's 2 things that I can say. Number 1, the vibes are high.
Yeah.
In the live ops chat, that was fun. We were all vibing. Number 2, this is going to be a fun round of controlled defense. You know why? And here's the thing. Texas State were able to win it last time after they lost the defense. CSUN Matadors, the round before that, had won an offense. They're sending everybody over towards the B site, and the only player that's going to be there is Scripps, who's watching for it. He saw the door open. Oh, he's going. Oh, crap, guys. Hey, rotate on over. We got a couple men overboard. First one jumps over the railing, is going to fall, trades back and forth off the board, but it is going to be time that stop. The B zone is going up and up and up. Scripps is going to try and find another kill, but Ruben will come out on top.
Texas State clear the point for the moment, but there is still presence here for CSUN. They're just trying to work through Catwalk and Church, and it's going to be 3 down in the feed for Texas State. So picking up where you left off in this round number 5. Cutting these players down, and after CSUN, the mistake he made last time was investing too many resources over to B. I'd like to see them get a clean hit over at A. I don't even think we've seen it in the entirety of the control, so they're going to be nearly at 1 tick of progression, get a couple kills going their way, but I'd like to see them really just lay this out, get a guaranteed point on the board, and not let time be a problem.
Life advantage for Texas State. Matadors trying to get back over towards that A site. Nobody over at B. Nobody trying to split the defensive side of Texas State at the moment. Scripps has gone on an absolute tear through the spawn. 3 in a row now. Back out towards the middle of the map. The rest of the team and the reinforcements are able to push past that 50% mark of the map. They don't realize, though, is that there's 5 or 4 players from the side of the Matadors who are now pushing through the middle of the map. Player number 1 in Polo is looking to get out. He's been such a great player and aggressor for the Matadors that has allowed them, at least in the search and destroy, to be able to fly to high heights. And now inside of the control, trying to do it once again. Polo will fall, though, in the middle. Texas State, 20 seconds left to be able to win the round here in round number 5.
I think you got to fly at this A point. If you're CSUN, you have people on B. You really just were running around that mid-map trying to find an opening. You do get a little bit here at B, avert the eyes of these players, but with the 2-stack over on A, that should be the point unless player 5 can go huge for Texas State and clear these players off. Not going to find that. That should be the A point. They'll have 1 minute and 18 seconds to get over there. Lives even. So if you're CSUN, much better look on this offense. And now, kill feed's been white for quite a minute. We're going to rotate over through Church, through P5, try to get over to this B site.
Well, the kill feed bleeds a little bit. Red going to pop up from a kill from Scripps. Polo will find 2 in a row. 12-10 now. Life advantage to the Matadors. Pandemic holding back with an AR. Looking out towards the top of the patio. As the play starts to come push forward. The Matadors playing slow as ever. Everybody's playing so passive right now. This is working out in the side of Texas State's favor, though, because they are loving that the time is just draining down slowly but surely. Nade over the top should be able to find at least some information on one. You're going to get the hit marker, force them to back off for a little bit. Here it comes. The white arrows now starting to make their way on forward. Pandemic arrow now sitting, holding, waiting. Automaton shot over the top, traded out immediately in the way of a grenade. Dylan trying to get on the point, stop the clock as much as humanly possible. Drake back on the head glitch. Scripps around the corner, going to be able to find the second in a row. Now you look up top to the third. Polo is there. Trade immediately after the fact. Everybody down. Matadors have to have a foot race across the map.
Took too much time to make that hit happen. Now you have no time to get across the map. You let these Texas State players come up and play cutoff at P5 and at U, and it really, you've got to get this Church Alley hit, get cut across now, but I think player 3 is just taking a bit too much time. Players get to react for Texas State. Yeah, you're on it for a second, but really they need one more wipe, and they've been able to do just that this entire time, but now you get a couple resources.
Dylan's
up,
there.
And I'm eating my words.
Dylan's there.
The kills. Dylan's making the plays. It's 3 for 1 in the feed, and they're still on it.
2 for 1 versus 5. Stuka, last one alive. Scripps around the corner will finish things off. I said lightning doesn't strike twice for the Matadors on the offensive side, but surely and ever, Texas State, lightning will strike twice for them. They'll win the control. The replay goes their way. We'll send things to a map number 4 on Bacage, once again with Texas State having a 2-1 lead.
One more map to close it out for Texas State. You can do it on Bacage here. You come in, you know, unfortunate situation after replay the round number 5. Like you said, you go in and get it done on defense. You find yourself going over to, this is our first Bacage of the night, but that smaller map. Gonna close out the night in a frenzy. It's gonna be high engagements. Who's willing to run away with it? That's what we'll find out. If we can remember from Berlin, CSUN, they played those close quarter gunfights really well. It was Texas State, though, winning the rotations. Though CSUN got out to a lead that was upwards of 70, 80 points early, it really was just a differential in the second half, in the second set of rotations for the Texas side of Texas State, where they just took over there. But the close quarter gunfights did go the way of CSUN. It's just when it came down to rotations, Texas State was just on it. Now here on Bacage, where you can afford to play your rotations a little bit sloppier, not saying that you should, but if CSUN opt to do that, or that's just how it shakes down, again, they stand a chance to take this map number 4.
It's weird to say for Texas State, because coming into this matchup, again, we'll go back all the way back to the top of the show. You know, numbers and rankings, at the end of the day, they're just numbers and rankings. It doesn't equate to what you're going to see out of a team in any given series. However, Texas State coming into this was absolutely favored against the Matadors. The biggest thing was I was like, okay, maybe a 3-0, 3-1, that's probably where it's going to end up. We still could very well see that, but for the Matadors to win a hard point like Bacage, it's very well possible.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of effort and reading into, you know, a lot of time watching these teams plays goes into the rankings. So of course they're not all for nothing, but again, once you start getting into the latter half of the season and start to get more playoff implications stacked on top of each other, that's when you see teams turn up out of nowhere. Now for CSUN, they have slowed down the last couple of maps, and especially in the control they slowed down a bit, but here they took the S&D in a round 11 fashion. They lose the control. They've got no choice but to win this Bacage to get to a game number 5. And again, I'm still going to stick with my guns in the sense of I don't think you can take 2 S&Ds off Texas State. Don't think they're going to let that happen. And based on the time we've had pass here in between game number 3 and 4, Texas State, they want to show, you know what, we're not going to mess around. We're going to try to get this done.
I think it was very telling after map number 1, where the Matadors were able to get out to a good lead. It kind of was, you know, sizable at a point. Midway through, Texas State were like, okay, you know, we're just going to take the reins from you. We're just going to run away with this, and that's exactly what they did. And they really never looked back after the fact. I believe it was like somewhere around like 250 to 170 something. If we can flash the maps up real quick, that would be awesome. But overall, when you looked at the side of the Matadors, again, it's just kind of a trial and error type situation where in the S&D things worked out, but they didn't work out over and over again. Texas State almost was able to clutch up and win the round 11. It wasn't anything where it was like, oh, they got lucky in that S&D, because they played really well throughout the entirety of it. It was just more or less, this series has looked a lot closer on paper than it's felt in a sense, but at the same time, I think you have to give so much credit to CSUN for what they've done against this Texas State roster, simply due to the fact that not only have they taken a game off of them, they've made the hard point, and of course the control as well, very, very close.
Definitely. I completely agree with what you said there, and it's so weird hearing you say the series has felt less close than it looks on paper. Usually, you're arguing or vouching for the fact that, oh, that was a close 3-0.
Yeah.
In this one, it feels like Texas State's kind of had that momentum. Again, yeah, it wasn't luck you won that search and destroy. You went out and you took care of business. To clutch up in the round 11, CSUN did what worked. They went back to what was working for them. It was that B plant. They got it in quick, and they were able to get the round there. Yeah. So, again, it wasn't luck. Very much skill to the CSUN team to show that, hey, we can hang with these guys. You've really got to dig deep and show it here. Now your backs are against the wall, and Texas State, you've shown a chink in the armor. You've shown resilience, of course, and that's been great, but you've definitely been pushed to the limit. So no matter how this ends up shaking down, both squads have a lot to learn from tonight, and both good things. And again, that's why I love watching competition at this high of a level, playing against each other, because you're only going to learn things from it, whether it's a lopsided series or not. When you're playing against the best of the best, you can show, okay, this is the marks we need to hit to get to that secured playoff spot. This is where we need to be. It just gives you so much growth potential. So again, for either of these squads, no matter how it ends up going, it's just a good time for all the players involved, just to learn and grow as a team as the season goes on.
Could you imagine if Texas State lost that last round though? like no, being real for a minute,
I can't.
Of Texas State overall, because you have to imagine that, in a situation where they're playing against the Matadors, and the Matadors have, all of a sudden just amounted this crazy amount of momentum, you'd have been pissed. Like, I would have been pissed if, we replayed it and we lost it, and I would have been, okay, dude, like, really, we're going to a map 4, we're down, dude, like, and then you have to clutch up in the S&D that the Matadors have already taken off of you, and it's like, okay, dude. So
yeah, had that gone the way of CSUN, again, I still, with it being Bacage hardpoint, and if it was any other map, I wouldn't feel as confident saying this. Had they taken that control, I think they could have closed it out in a 3-1 fashion, which would have been nuts. So no, I can't imagine Texas State losing that, because I think CSUN would have taken it in a 3-1 fashion, and that just would have just caught the top 25 rankings on fire at that point. I don't know what else to say. But Texas State,
hey, upsets happen.
I know, upsets happen all the time. That's why you look at these numbers, and upsets happen. CSUN, they can still do it. There's still so much COD left. But like you said, even though we've kind of been framing it the way, it has felt like the momentum has been on the side of Texas State. Just how they've been down and come back. And I think that's why that S&D feels so much like that, because they were down 3 rounds in the search and destroy, brought it back to round 11. So it still felt like they had momentum, even though they lost it, which is crazy, because CSUN, they're doing their best and playing the best they can. Polo, for me tonight, is the guy that's really showed up for the squad and is like making the big plays to get the openings when they need to. So I'd like to see that continue, especially in the hard point. But yeah, Pandemic, of course, for Texas State's been playing really well. The whole squad is clutched up whenever they need to. But for me, Polo for CSUN has really caught my eye as someone like, okay, like if someone needs to make a big play happen, you can count on Polo.
I'd have to agree. It really was the search and destroy that kind of was eye popping at the very least. There was just again, like right after the S&D was over, I like one of the things I wanted to hit on. We did was the fact that Polo just seemed to be in the right places at the right times, where they could capitalize off a bunch of different situations just because of the positioning on the map. I think back to some of the plays that they made around through the back spawn, but more importantly, over by that B site, playing inside of the warehouse, that little shed there on top of that head glitch. Even when they weren't on the offensive side and they weren't having that post plant setup where he was back there, he could find his way onto that head glitch and be able to pick maybe 1-2 players right off the rip, and that gave them first blood after first blood. Middle of the map, same thing happens. Just position themselves perfectly in the search and destroy. That's why the Matadors were able to win that map number 2. You have to at least consider the fact that Polo might be able to do that again in a hard point. However, Bacage, you can position yourself in any way possible. You just never know when somebody's going to be from behind.
Yeah, it's just, it plays different, of course, than S&D, and of course than a map like Berlin. You're not sitting still for quite that long, but you still know where you need to get your players in order to activate them on the map. Again, I expect Polo to play around that and knowing, hey, I'm most comfortable here. Let's get to these spots. Again, it comes down to me for CSUN and for them to be able to take the series tonight, to just playing their game. They found the map win in search and destroy, but a lot of success there whenever they just slowed down, play their game, like you said, and we keep saying Polo getting to the spots he needs to be and trying to, even if it's an unfavorable situation, still working the map, knowing, hey, if I can get here, we can find a pick, we can open things up. Even on the control where they were finding success, again, it was around players getting to good positions on the map. So for them, it's map positioning that's really played out in favor of them. And on a map like Bacage, where, like you said, it's a blender, you're shooting someone in the back and then someone's shooting you in the back. So you definitely have to have your head more so on a swivel than any other time in Vanguard. And yeah, if CSUN's gonna do it, they're gonna light it up in this mixy type of gameplay because of those close quarter engagements. But yeah, you've got to be ready to go. As you know, it's been time in between games and rounds. Players just got to stay warm, stay good to go. And if you're CSUN, you've got to come out hot. Of course, you got that lead on Berlin, but again, it's the same thing with that search and destroy. You've got to find a way to close it out. If they can do that, that just puts a nice little feather in their cap as far as being able to go up against a team like this.
Look, I know you guys are getting tired of us sitting here and talking during this little intermission that we have here between maps number 3 and number 4, but I promise you we've done everything within our power to at least have intellectual conversations about the match that we've been seeing, taking bits and pieces, trying to elaborate on them as we can, and now finally we get ready to load up into the Bakaj. Lobby is ready, players are ready. Texas State, CSUN, what could be the final match of this best-of-5 series, could fall into the hands of Texas State. Can CSUN shock everybody, take a hard point off a very good Texas State roster, fall the Bobcats to the floor, and force that map number 5? We'll just have to wait and see.
Off the break, it's going to be all 4 for CSUN running through mid-map, trying to get any kind of map presence. It's going to be 2 down in the feed, favoring Texas State. Gonna get this early control, 20 seconds off the clock and only a few accrued, so really it's just playing for map positioning. Right now the top side open, we'll see if Texas State look to adapt, but with 3 players here, it's gonna be hard. They start to flood this top side of the maps open, and as there's gonna be a fight in barn, spawns up for grabs.
Ruben shooting bodies. Hey buddy, you're down 4 points and it's the very beginning of a hard point. I get it. There's definitely built up frustration, definitely some tension there. But again, let's save the body shooting until we are able to win the map number 4 and push ourselves to the map number 5K.
Yeah, not a bad idea. I've never seen that really work out. And again, a 4-point lead. Anyway, we'll see if CSUN can back that. But right now, spawns are in control of Texas State. 1 player on the hill just soaking up the time. Someone was able to slip through barn, but it's Texas State with the awareness to get control of that. Only 15 seconds, really under 20 scored thus far in this game. Already a minute off the game clock, which is a little bit crazy. I know it's precaution, we kind of expect that, but a lot of time off the clock to start. We'll keep an eye on that as things progress. And as we look to make this rotation, Scripps getting Mixie and Kitchen in the mid-map area. Scrap time, not really. 30 seconds, I realize. Going the way of CSUN, they're able to get the break.
27-9, Draco, 3-3, but Pandemic, more importantly, 6 kills straight. What was that challenge from Scripps? Like, that right there is the definition of an ego chow. Yeah. You slide all the way around the corner, you fly 30 meters across the map just to take one dude back on a tank who has an automaton, by the way. Either way, Pandemic, by the way, just a casual 7 streak. Gonna go ahead and find full streaks for the side of Texas State. The Bobcats are doing great work here early on Bakaj. Matadors are just struggling to find any sort of semblance on the map, and well, a map that's hard to even find yourself specifically with Bakaj, trying to find a team game is just that much more difficult. Polo tries to hop on in. This kill feed has been red for an extended period of time.
It just feels like CSUN's playing everywhere but the point, like you said, trying to just get any kind of map presence, some kind of control and footing on Bakaj. For a map this small, you know, map presence is so important because you get 4 down situations and that affords you maybe 5 seconds of hill time, so you just have to get so much clearance before you can get on a hill. And it just CSUN have been unable to do that. Texas State, they're capitalizing on their 3-for-1 trades in the feed and getting right back on the time, and that's why they have a 50-point lead here as we go to P4. And then once again, what we saw in the Berlin, they're winning the rotations, except this time they're winning them early on, and that's only going to serve to help them close this one.
11-6 from Ruben. Rest of the team struggling to go ahead and find their way inside of the hard point. Either way, though, a nice little kill feed will be white for the Matadors. We're back inside of point number 4, barn building. Couple of players now trying to push their way up the map. Draco, a huge one-on-one there against Dylan. Gonna get the headshot to tow it on in. Scripps around the corner, gets a teammate in the process. Double challenge around the corner from the Matadors will end with 1. Pandemic up towards the top with the help of Tactic. They'll break on in swift and sound. 35 seconds remaining, and a ton of time for Texas State to eclipse that 100-point mark.
Draco on 4, so we'll see if another player here for Texas State can get streaks. That'll be Draco chopped down. Looks like they're going to give this one last hit, and interesting to see if they can get it and hold it from the front. That'd be a good bit of scrap time. Pin Texas State in the back, and then give yourself spawns for P5. And as we see, 4-for-1 in the feed, they will get the scrap time. They will pin these spawns back deep left, so a good bit of time earned just to start to close that deficit. Big gunfight one down at River, and you get yourself the rotation. So for CSUN, high risk, high reward, it pays off.
Big Dylan pops a 3 in towards the point. 15 and 11 now for Scripps. Hops in towards the window. Dylan will get the best of the player there. 4 in a row from Dylan. Conversation for potential streaks definitely on the table. Player going to challenge around. That's going to be number 5. 6 will get the strafing run. 7 will be for the glide bomb. CSUN has started to make their way back inside of this hard point just a bit. It's been great leeway on the lead that Texas State have accrued themselves early on inside of the game. P5 going to be in their sole position. However, though, as Draco and Scripps are going to be able to tag for 2, you know that Dylan's going to be up in towards the top. That's going to be number 6. You try to use the glide bomb to maybe find that final player, take them off the streaks, but is able to survive around the corner, and Polo will go 2 over the top. It's aerial support. Call him an AC 130.
If you're CSUN, you've kept spawns for nearly this entire hard point, and the first 20 seconds went by without anyone in the hill, though they had control. I know they were trying to work for a little more mid-map presence, but they didn't get any time out of that. They had the rotations, and they were sitting on the right side spawn for most of that, unable to turn that into any substantial time. So we still see a 60-70 point lead here going back into our next set of rotations. The game clock is halfway out. Texas State really just working the map well. They're getting around where they need to. They're earning streaks. Of course, Stuka for CSUN having a slow start, and that's something you want to see turn around. But just this Bakaj playing the way it does with the game clock and with the map presence Texas State's had, they're sitting pretty comfortable.
If you're Texas State right now, you're okay with that game clock dwindling down further and further and further. Tactic will find the back of 1. Shots will be there. Clean enough to go ahead and break for the kill. Middle of the map still being held down. You don't see a lot of teams able to get more than maybe 10 to 15 seconds on the mid-map hard point, but as the break now comes in from the Matadors, Texas State will break on back in. They've got the left side of the map in their full possession. P2 will be there. It's up and towards the top. Tactic, who's on 4 in a row, quietly making himself have a nice game. 20 and 12 for Draco, and of course 18 and 18 for Scripps, who tags along there for the party. Down from above, it's going to be Draco, who brings as above, so below into real life. Texas State all over the map, absolutely handling the Matadors like it's clockwork.
And maybe it's just because Texas State plays at such a quick pace and the kill feed can get so lopsided at times that it seems like CSUN is back to turtling, and they have 55 points, and they've had more hill control than what 55 points says, and they just haven't been able to get that into any substantial time. And I just credit that to Texas State and just their map presence. Even if they aren't close to the hill, it keeps CSUN guessing, and they always think a challenge is coming because these players are taking so many lives with them before they fall that CSUN have just been anxious to even get on the point. They feel like they're going to get wiped, so we see a rotation once again going the way of CSUN. Someone needs to be on the hill to convert this into time, because now you're looking at a 110 point deficit, and on Bakaj, with less than 2 minutes left on the game clock, I mean, this might be impossible even if you do get the points.
Yeah, I feel there's a lot of empty kills right now from the Matadors.
Yeah.
And by empty kills, it's kills that, you know, you get, but they don't equate to hill time, they don't equate to map presence. It's just another kill that's tallied, and especially on Bakaj, you see that happen quite a bit. It's a 100-point lead right now for Texas State. Sure, you can bring this one back slowly, but if you're dealing, you're at 20 and 20 right now, 5 seconds in the hill, you know, 20 and 16 from Ruben, 1 second in the hill. The players that are slaying out the most aren't getting any hill time out of it. You look to the opposite side, and you've got 54 seconds in the hill with 24 kills, and Pandemic, who's got a minute and 18. Everybody's sharing hill time. Everybody's getting in towards the point. The Matadors are just not. They're getting kills, but they're not getting presence out of it. They're not getting time at all.
They get broken. Texas State extends their lead. They give it one last little chow for scrap time. Doesn't end up working out. And now player 2, Scripps, trying to make something happen. That ends up getting found out. They do have presence. They have the rotation. Can CSUN hold off a break here? I mean, with the full 60 seconds, you know, you're sitting at 130. You're really 2 60-second holds away from it. But with Texas State 6 points from that 200-point mark and a minute and a half left on the game clock, and you know they're going to try to contest this like crazy, it just might be too steep of a mountain to climb for CSUN. It was just too slow of a start to get things going. The break comes in for Texas State, and now you're just fighting off the back foot if you're the CSUN Matadors.
See, right now, if you're the Matadors, you're not just fighting against the hill time. You're fighting against the game clock at a minute 30 seconds left. So if you're trying to break this game back, good luck to you. I'll say that at the very least, because if you're trying to break in towards a point, you're going to get a very, very, very large amounts of scrap time that are going to continuously bombard you every time that you're trying to break on in. Tactic with 3 straight kills. Scripps is going to be there with 3 as well. The Matadors break in, but Cash is for a measly 6 seconds, and they allow the Bobcats to rotate on over towards P3.
P5. And once you let the game clock get to this point, it only serves to aid the team with the lead every time they can contest it. They don't even need hill time. They just need to contest it, because that's just going to eat up that game clock. So not only would it be a win if they can keep you off the hill, but every time you go in to try to contest the point, that's only going to serve to aid the team with a substantial lead. That's going to be Texas State in this situation. They could very well close it out here. A minute left on the game clock. Under 35 points needed to win, so really one more clean break from Texas State. Cannot do it on this hill, so it'd have to be the scrap time and the rotation. CSUN getting their first bit of substantial time here in a while. 4 for 1 in the feed. Could lock down these last 20 seconds, but again, the tried and true caster statement. Gotta be perfect hard point.
The old cliche of Call of Duty. Now, that's where body shots are acceptable. Tactic, 27 and 26. A good game, almost a minute in the hill. You're up by 100 points on the side of the Matadors. You're about to win the game here on Bagage and the series. That's when you can go ahead and pepper up somebody's dead body with a couple of lead-filled bullets. That's the perfect time.
Heard it here first. Body shooting key success from Corn.
Look, I was a COD player in my heyday, okay?
Right? Hey, there you go. He gets it. He gets it, all right? There's a little bit of tension from this series. Texas State get pushed to the limits, but when it matters most, showing the utmost resilience. 30 seconds left on the game clock. And Texas State, they don't even want to get on the hill. They're just trying to keep CSUN off of it. And, well, based on how this has been going, they've had no problems doing just that.
About 15 seconds left for Texas State to be able to take the series 3-1 over the Matadors. It was a great search and destroy with the respawns. They haven't been one-sided, but the hard points certainly have been. Out the window, Ruben will find a couple of shots. They won't be able to win it off this hard point. We'll at least have to see the rotation over towards P2, but that's no problem because Pandemic is already there set up. Draco, 36 and 24. Scripps tries to go for 36 as well. Both of those players dropping big numbers here to go ahead and give the side of the Matadors another loss on their table, move themselves up further inside of their top cut, and find themselves with a lot more opportunity for success going into the playoffs. Draco with body shots, 3 seconds left, nobody near the point. We'll say goodbye to the Matadors as the Bobcats maul them to hell and back. They'll win it a 3-1 win.
And what a way to close that one out. Like you said, it was a close series in some stretches of it, but in the hard points, whenever Texas State had enough, they had enough and closed it out in a dominant way. So good job from this team. After you have a look at the stats, actually someone for CSUN, it's going to be Ruben. I mean, 36 and 24, 4,000 damage. I mean, that's not a bad performance. Unfortunately, that just kills don't do it in hard point, you know. It's got to be that hill time. And Ruben, yeah, like you said, the players slaying out for the CSUN Matadors, 4 seconds of hill time, that's just not going to cut it against a team this good. You've got to find a way to turn that into objective time as well. So, again, empty kills. Really what gave a hollow performance for CSUN in that one, and what we thought could have been pushed the limit to a game number 5. It's going to be Texas State taking that one in a 3-1 fashion. You know, maybe they stay put at number 11. Who knows? I know these rankings are going to go crazy after this week, but it wasn't a statement series, but you get the job done. Like you said, it was a closer series than 3-1 says. So at least you get the win if you're Texas State, and that's what matters. You just start to solidify yourself towards the top of your top cut. But a map nonetheless, sometimes you just got to get through those series and just call it a night.
Yeah, you know, the thing is I look at the statistics there, and for Ruben, you know, 36 and 24, that's a good game by any stretch of the imagination when you talk about slaying. But with the 4 seconds of hill time, I hate to say, but that looks like league play statistics. Yeah. Like that looks like somebody just hops in league play, is going around finding kills, and then is wondering why their team is losing games. And this is not it's a rat on the Matadors to make fun of them, to say anything else. They showed gumption. They showed very great glimpses of what they can offer and bring to the table. They just have to refine what they have and then bring that back for the rest of not only their top cut, but for the rest of the season. Because if you don't iron those things out, polish them up quickly enough inside of the top cut, you're going to be looking at the LCQ, and that is going to be an absolute bloodbath of teams who are just trying to get out, trying to get into those last four playoff, or rather those last 8 playoff spots to get into the playoffs after that fact. It's going to be difficult to go ahead and get through that either way. Nothing can be taken away from Texas State. They're a great team. They're number 11 for a reason. Will they drop down, the rankings a little bit, up or down? It happens to every team every week, except for like the top 3 teams, because they're in a tier of their own, basically. And we saw that once again on stream when Ottawa was able to take down ASU, and that series was not close whatsoever. So again, Matadors, a lot to take away from this, a lot to refine, a lot to go and build upon. Good series, though. Pat yourselves on the back. It was well fought against Texas State.
It was. Unfortunately for them, a lot of the mistakes they made are correctable, right? It wasn't just something where it's like Texas State's in a class of their own. They proved and showed that this team can be taking down these top teams. Yeah, they've got chinks in their armor if you're willing to capitalize on it. Just for CSUN, whether it be lack of experience, lack of chemistry, whatever the case may be, have some things to correct and refine, like you were saying, as this starts to progress, if they want to show any signs of upward trajectory going up against these top pitted teams. For Texas State, you also have a lot to learn coming out of the series. You were pushed the distance against a team you maybe should have, you could say, handled. You went in a 3-1 fashion, but it's much closer than the score lines say. So yeah, you got a lot to learn for either squad. Both good things. You're playing against the best of the best. These are only ideal reps that you're looking at. So again, both teams poised and ready to come back better next week.
Well, that'll do it here for the Bravo stream tonight, and thus concludes both the Alpha and the Bravo streams of the CCL for day 1 of week number 8. We'll be back again tomorrow at 7:30 Eastern on the Alpha and Bravo streams alike. More banger matches coming tomorrow. We'll start the day off, at least on the Alpha side of things, with High Point Esports versus UT Chattanooga, and here on the Bravo stream, we'll have the Brock Bandits versus the New Haven Chargers going down, again, all at 7:30 Eastern. Either way, that's going to do it for the broadcast here tonight. My name is McCormiel. With me is Cash. We had a lot of we had a good series, and more importantly, Texas State will move to 3-1. Everybody take care, stay safe. We'll see you back here tomorrow for more CCL action. That'll do it for us. Have a great night.